We come now to one of the most fascinating parts of the book of Revelation, and that has to do with the 144,000. Like so many symbols in the book of Revelation, many of them are misinterpreted. The 144,000, unfortunately, is also misinterpreted by so many people. Let me give you a hint on how to interpret the symbols. When you look at the symbols, look for Jesus, because many of the symbols are about him. And then look for his bride, the church, us. You understand? So we find, for example, Jesus as the judge in chapter 1. We find him as the bloody lamb. We find him as the one riding the white horse, conquering the world. In other words, when we're looking at the symbols, we're really seeing Jesus, and we're also seeing us. We're the kings and priests. So what do we see? We see 24 elders that are kings wearing crowns. That reminds us of the kings and priests of Revelation 1:6 that we are. So we're going to see ourselves in the book of Revelation, and we're going to see Jesus in the book of Revelation. And then, of course, you see the world, the Antichrist spirit, and all of that outside of it. So when I look at the 144,000, I have to ask myself, who are these 144,000 really? Numbers are important because they signify images. Listen to this. Revelation chapter 7, verse 2. Then I saw another angel coming out of the sea, having the seal of the living God. He called out in a loud voice to the 4 angels who had been given power to harm the land and the sea. Do not harm the land or the sea until we put a seal on the foreheads of the servants of our God. So notice the message is, this angel is saying, don't bring the wrath of God to the earth. Don't bring it in the world until we exempt a group of people from God's wrath. So it's going to be the 144,000 that are servants that are sealed. And they're going to be exempt from the wrath of God. Well, when we read the New Testament, for example, Ephesians 1, it says we have been sealed by the Spirit of the living God. So this idea of being sealed should not be foreign to us Christians. We know the Holy Spirit has sealed us. So it's talking about, and then we also know God has not appointed us to suffer wrath. We're exempt from the wrath of God because we have received his mercy. So immediately I'm seeing myself in this. I'm seeing the church. And then he says in verse 4, then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. Now look at numbers. Numbers have meaning. Now, how do we get 144,000? You take 12 and you multiply it by 12. Earlier in the book, we had 24 elders. How do we get 24 elders? 12 plus 12 equals 24. But we have the same core numbers, 12, because the church is built on the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Israel had the 12 tribes of Israel. You understand that God's people is spoken of in numbers of 12. So when I look at 144,000, I'm seeing a symbolic number. I'm seeing 12 times 10, which is completeness, times 10, which is complete, times 10, the Trinity. 3 times I multiply, and that's where I get 144,000. People say, well, it's from the tribes of Israel. Again, these are symbolic numbers. These are symbolic pictures. First of all, no one knew who the 12 tribes of Israel were. The only tribes that people were familiar with in the times of the Bible, at least the times of the New Testament, was the tribe of Judah and Benjamin. The other 10 tribes were lost. So how are we going to even know? And even today, they're lost. So how are we going to know who are from the tribes of any of these tribes? Because they're lost today. You understand? But rather, this is a picture of us. Paul says that we, the new creation, is the Israel of God. Yeah, the Bible calls us the Israel, which is the family of God. But not only is 144,000 symbolic, the tribes are symbolic, because it says in verse 9, after this I looked. In other words, he's going to look at the 144,000. So he turns to look, and what does he say? There before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, language, standing before the throne and in front of the Lamb. Did you hear what he did? He heard the number. See, it didn't say he counted the number 144,000. It says he heard it. But when he looked to see the 144,000, then he tells you it's from every nation, from every tribe, from every people. So now we understand It's a group of people who are born again, who have been sealed by the Holy Spirit, and they are before the throne. Hebrews chapter 4 says we come to the throne of grace to find mercy. We're at the throne. Aren't we? Isn't that what prayer is? We come to God's throne. You see, so the 144,000 is a symbolic picture of us, and that we are exempt from the wrath of God, that we are before the throne. We have access to God's presence through prayer. And he's reminding them, and who are these? These are those who have come out of the great tribulation. It didn't say they were in the great tribulation. That's verse 14. He says, who are these? Who are these great multitude? He says, Lord, you know. He says they have come out of the great tribulation. See, he doesn't say there's a 7-year tribulation and these are those people. No, he's saying they're coming out of it. He didn't say they're in the tribulation. He says they're coming out. And what Jesus is giving the churches, this message, as much as you're persecuted, as much as you're being hounded by the government, remember, you're victorious. You can come to the throne of God to receive grace and find help in your time of need. And that because of God's grace in your life, whatever tribulation you're going through, you can come out of it. Oh, come on. You can come out of it. This is the message of Revelation chapter 7 about the 144,000. If you like this teaching, get my syllabus on the book of Revelation, and I know you'll be blessed.